Good neighbors, happy Monday. Welcome to our third installment of Slow Roll Buffalo's virtual roll. Given the circumstances, the best that we can do to gather our community and continue with our mission to connect communities by bike. For now, we're doing it with a solo roller with a helmet cam. And we have a neat route for y'all tonight and a bunch of great guests lined up to join us. We're going to start. Oh, by the way, I'm Seamus, and I have spiffed up our backdrop here in the home office. See Adam Ziglis's cartoon when we closed to Skajakwita for a ride. Slow rolling over decades of mistakes. Thank you, Adam Ziglis from the Buffalo News. We have more news and more rides to take to Skajakwita soon. And also our City Neighborhoods map designed by Idris Wajed. And shout out to the great photographer Joe Cascio for that beautiful shot of the city of Buffalo. The best we can do on Monday nights for now is to gather our community online. So we appreciate you for joining us now. We have some information still down on our website with much more to come as we continue to evolve and respond to the needs of the moment in our community and do our best to be helpers. So we've entitled this ride the De-Litter Roll because we wanted to shine a light on many of the great efforts going on in our communities, block by block, and all the way to City Hall, for starting by keeping our corners and neighborhoods clean. And we're going to talk to some people who are doing some more rapid response work to continue on the message of how important food distribution is right now and what an opportunity we have right now to really address food systems as a whole. For now, we're going to start by giving y'all a look at what was going to be our host venue tonight to gather people by the thousands. Let's go live with our virtual roller to Silo City. Thanks. That's Slow Roll Buffalo co-founder Tony Cafaro with the helmet cam. And that's a view from the other side of the river looking into Silo City. All right, Tone. Silo City has been one of our favorite venues. What a great place it is in the city of Buffalo and what it's become over the past decade. And we weren't able to have our friends from Silo City join us for a tour tonight. But we will do that in the future. We'll get back there. And when we get back at the end of this ride, we will have some musical guests who are regulars over at Duende in Silo City, and including some folks who have had shows canceled over the last couple months. Dave Ruck will be joining us, whose band debuted his band there at Silo City. Dave's been in so many great bands over the years: Canal Street String Band, Wild Nights, Oregon Fairchild just debuted at Silo City over the winter. And Dave will be joining us live, as well as Mikey Strongman from the new Buffalo Stringers, who have a Sunday residence at Duende at Silo City, will join us afterward. And also Joe Rosler is going to do a solo performance tonight. Joe, who has had his first Silo City gig canceled, was supposed to be last month. So please stick around with us for a while. We have a ride and an after party, as we always do with Slow Roll. We ride about 10 miles around town. When we get back where we started, which tonight is Silo City, we have live music and fellowship. Now, we'd love to direct y'all to, in your own time, to look up Silo City and see all that's going on there. The ecology, the transformation of the ecology there. They actually have a director of ecology now, Josh Smith, who is doing just amazing work. And the way that nature is continuing to take over there over the last couple months since it's been closed to the public is truly fascinating. And we would love to we'll get back to Silo City so we can further tell that story again. For now, boy, it was our most attended ride last year. We were there in August. I know slow rollers will remember when we were in the Fruit Belt over the weekend, where we're going tonight. And we did a little cleanup and we're distributing food around there. One of our regular riders was out mowing her lawn and said, "That's Silo City ride. That's the one with lots of bridges. That was a workout." Anytime you're in around South Buffalo in the Valley. So we'll see some of those tonight. And for now, let's get rolling. Tony, roll out from Silo City and see that the Ohio Street lift bridge, which he's on right now, which we showed in that great video from John Paget that opened the show tonight. I want to bring on our first guest for tonight as we get into talking about delittering. We have been working closely with City Hall and the Division of Citizen Services for years as we use the 311 program to report any road hazards along the way before our rides, street signs, potholes, sweeping that needs to be done. We're going to explain how anybody can use 311 and some of the other things, including the Great American Cleanup. So let's welcome the Director of the Division of Citizen Services, coming to us not from City Hall, but from home. Welcome, Oswaldo Mestre. Oz, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, my brother. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, but more importantly, before we get into talking about all of the work that you do, want to ask personally how you're doing, because we learned last week that you have contracted this virus. How are you feeling?
Oh, thank you for doing the show, and just thank you for asking of that. I am, I would say personally been affected by the COVID virus. Just to underscore the importance of testing, I wasn't exhibiting any of the symptoms. And so I wanted to be an example for folks in the community. There's a stigma with folks in the community, folks especially who look like me, about testing, about doing those particular things. And so I wanted to say, let's go do this thing. I wanted to be an example for my employees, and lo and behold, tested positive. And, adjusting and going through that, I'm quarantined in the house. I'm having mild symptoms, doubling up on my vitamins. I'm under a doctor's care, all of those particular things. But just mentally, I'm just trying to make sure that I stay positive, but still connecting to the work. So I'm just glad to be a part of that. Saying that is just really just understanding and saying the importance of this testing. There are community testing places in the community that we're starting to do. It's important so public officials like us and healthcare officials understand what's going on. And then you yourself should be tested, because we have the responsibility of loved ones and people around us. And so you may be a carrier, you may be symptomatic like me, or you just never know what's going to happen. So again, thank you for allowing me just to share that.
Sure thing, Oz. I'm glad you're feeling well. And as we get to the route here and explain what you do by day, we're going up Ohio Street, heading into the first ward. Well, we're in the first ward here. You'll see Riverfest Park coming up on the left. And Ohio Street is a success story for our city, becoming a more walkable, bikeable street that is a protected path to the left for pedestrians and cyclists. And you see the markings on the street. Now, we want to talk about 311. Now, Ohio Street here is in great shape. Coming up, we made a 311 call of our own that we'll see in the route coming up here. And we talk a lot about the 311 program that is operated by your office, Division of Citizen Services, and how we use it regularly through SlowRoll. And really, it's something that anyone can use. So can you give us a little 311 101?
I like that. What's the 311?
Right.
We need to do a show, right? 311 is a municipal call line that we have, where we have call takers or operators who live in the city of Buffalo who take calls. We set this up about 11, 12 years ago under Mayor Brown's administration. We wanted to have one office or one department that is chief commodity, where citizens who were to call about particular issues. It's the function of government, it's a function of city that things may go bump in the dark. And so whether it be a pothole, a light that's out, or just us responding to issues and concerns, to prioritize that. And so we have a system that we use. We categorize each call. We give it a priority, which is a service level agreement. And we put that into the system, and we hold departments accountable. So the great thing about having a call center system is that we also notify each of the councilmen of what the calls are. It puts departments on call. So as you're seeing right now, what we're bumping up into right now, this is going into our busiest season. So if COVID pandemic did not happen, and we're taking all types of calls. We take municipal calls, we take calls for information, service related calls, or health related calls as well. And so what we're seeing right now is there's a little bit of an uptick in illegal dumping. And so your team has spotted some things as littering. Um, we have different protocols that we send to different departments. We ask if you do see illegal dumping that's happening currently, you call 911. And so we'll send officers out. If you've seen it chronically where you've just seen it already, we actually call 311. We prioritize that calls with the mayor's impact team, and we have city crews that will go out and take a look at that and try to impact that. So 311 is one way. We also have a 311 app that you can use on your phone. You go into the app store and type in Buffalo 311. You can use it that way as well. And you can also go online. People can go on their computer and go to the city's webpage. Mayor Brown has allowed us to make sure that, our call center is accessible to residents in the community. So we have a lot of online usage as well. And these are self-service calls as well.
Thank you. And I see Tony practicing the Idaho stop there. Well done, Tone. Hey, someday it'll be the Buffalo stop. We just got to get that law passed here. Now, turning to the Great American Cleanup, when we've seen this, the de-litter roll, we know that there is a citywide effort that happens annually that was interrupted due to the public health circumstances. And can you explain the plans for the Great American Cleanup and how people can get involved?
I think years from now, we're going to get tired of saying that how things were interrupted in Buffalo and how things have been innovated, such as what your organization is doing. I think there has been interruptions, even in the city of Buffalo. Many of the engagement programs that we've been doing, like Great American Cleanup, we're having to rethink and reimagine that. We work with block clubs and neighborhood organizations. We're doing virtual meetings. And so what we're doing, teaming up with your organization, is we've had to pause the Great American Cleanup, because this is where a cleanup where we work with community groups, block clubs, agencies, and we have bags, we have hand gloves, and then we also will work with you in terms of identifying when you're going to do a cleanup in your neighborhood. You clean it up, you leave it at a particular spot, and we will pick up that garbage free of charge. And so it has to be kind of a cleanup that you're doing. It can be something what we're seeing right now. It can be a group of residents getting together. It can be an organization wanting to clean up a park, a vacant lot. The idea here is not to do what the city shouldn't do, but we're a city of good neighbors. And so where you can help, we want to be able to encourage you that. And so we will give you bags, again, gloves, and to the extent that you need maybe some heavy lifting and you let us know, we have crews like the city's mayor's impact team to help on some of this bigger items, in that respect too. And it's been a great, great response. And so we're going to unveil that again within the next week. All those who want more information regarding the Great American Cleanup, the number to call, 311. And let me just say this with 311, it is also for not the service related calls. Again, whether you see litter or street sign, that means I have this pet peeve about crooked street signs, right? In some communities that tilted, that's a 311 call. Call us. A missing stop sign, all of those are 311 calls, and we prioritize what those calls are. And so it puts us on notice so that we can follow back up. But we also take informational calls as well. People just calling about what part of City Hall is open, or about paying bills, or just general information. We get people calling about, are the Buffalo Bills going to win the Super Bowl? You know what we say? Yes. But our operators are city residents, and they have a great knowledge about what's going on, not just in government, but all across the city.
Beautiful. Well, we will keep in touch with 311 as we do regularly, and we'll keep in touch with you, but we want you to rest up and stay well, Oz. Thank you for taking time to join us. and stay well. Keep in touch.
Well, I will. Thank you very much. Listen, Slow Roll is very much part of the fabric of the city of Buffalo. And so, continue, all those who are watching. I can't wait till dust off my bike, and I'm out there with you guys. Thank you, and God bless you.
Look forward to it, Oz. Thanks. Peace. Now, Tone is in Coppertown now, which is a neighborhood that a lot of us were unfamiliar with until Slow Roll, that it's a neighborhood that exists, Coppertown. And unfortunately, it looks like we had planned to have Gail Wells from the Coppertown Block Club join us, and it looks like she's not on the line. But Tony's going to stop right here. Oh, hey, there's Gail. Tony's going to stop right here at the archway to the new archway to the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor. And hopefully we can bring on Gail here in the Coppertown Block Club. This is on the edge of that neighborhood. And Gail has just been doing wonderful work. And we want to transition from not just talking about delittering tonight, which of course we feel is an important part as we continue to talk about the solidarity, just this understanding that as a community that we are intertwined and interdependent, that just a little cleanup is a good way to show that you care about your community and a good way to organize your neighbors. And that's something that we can do while maintaining physical distance. As we continue to talk about staying physically distant, yet socially connected, a cleanup is a way that you can just reach outside your door and do something for your community. Food is a most urgent one right now, and we have been working with the Seeding Resilience group, which has really just been about the highlight of my week every week with the call with Seeding Resilience and addressing food systems and the existing issues in food systems and also the urgent ones now in our current situation. And so joining us to not only discuss that, but to welcome us to her neighborhood, Coppertown. I see you, Gail. Can you hear me? Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and please welcome everyone to Coppertown.
William in Michigan, but we also have the iconic Jesse Clipper Park, which was designed by the first African American architect, John Brent. He was a landscape architect and he designed the Jesse Clipper Park and also the gates at the zoo, which is in the historic register. The first African American to die in World War One, and he's buried over in France. And they did a tribute to him over in this neighborhood because he was the vice president of the Colored Musicians Club. So people are wondering, why is his monument here? He was a musician. He was very active in the club. And this is in the founding of the club because the club was founded in 1917 and they just celebrated a magnificent 100-year anniversary. But we have the Nash House, that is over in this neighborhood. We have the Colored Musicians Club. We have Power 96.5 and the iconic church that you're looking at right now, the Michigan Street Baptist Church. The Nash House was the home of the pastor at Michigan Street Baptist Church for about 60 years, and that was the Reverend Jesse Nash. His son was a sociology professor at the University, at Canisius College. And he is known for leading the Model Cities program and 78 Restoration Corporation, which is responsible for the housing that I live in. If I can tell you anything, I don't know how much time I have about the Coppertown Block Club, but
Please do.
We were fighting Ellicott Development over the building that you might see right across the street from the church. And that building is supposed to house a Tim Hortons with the driveway that we thought that was very dangerous because we happen to have quite a few accidents right here. And so we mounted a campaign against that development. We won with the zoning board, but they went to court and had a judge overturn the positive result of that zone board hearing. So we're living with the Tim Hortons, but we're hoping that other development comes into the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor that's more aligned with its mission, that is to preserve and protect the cultural heritage and historic nature of the corridor. You're looking right now at something that really is amazing. That's our arch, the African American Heritage Corridor Arch. It's the only arch in the city of Buffalo that goes entirely across the street. It depicts two figures. One is a female figure with a baby on her back, reaching up towards the North Star. And on the other side is a male reaching up for that same star. It symbolizes a family that is on the Underground Railroad seeking passage to Canada. If you know a little bit about our history, you know that we had the Fugitive Slave Act that required people who were escaping from enslavement not just to go up north. Remember 12 years a slave? Well, they could come and get you and sell you right back into enslavement. There was really nothing you could do about it. So if you watch the movie Harriet Tubman, she talks about the impact of that law and how it required anyone that was trying to be free. Now they had to go to Canada. And that's why Buffalo became such an important stop on the Underground Railroad, because of our proximity to Canada. The two statues on the side really represent that quest and desire for freedom. It is done by Valeria Cray. Valeria is a wonderful sculpturist, and she has actually another piece in the Buffalo Niagara Medical Corridor called the Tree of Life. And she also is one, I think she might be the only African-American female that has art that was purchased by the Albright Knox Arts Museum. So thank you very much for letting me tell you about our neighborhood. It's a very special neighborhood. And I hope you come back after the shutdown and enjoy some jazz, go on a tour of the church, stop by the Jesse Nash House, and see the Jesse Clipper Park. Thank you so much for being with me. And I think I saw Alex
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Gail. Alex is on deck, which is a good segue. If we could keep you for just a moment before we start writing again, if you could, if only briefly, tell folks about, because we're going to keep talking about food. So
The
can you
Freedom
explain
Garden.
the Freedom Gardens and just, if again, if only briefly, how people can get involved?
Yes, that Freedom Garden project is a food equity project, and really it's close to the things that Alex does for the community. I know Alex, and he is really a leader in the food access movement here in Buffalo. So the Freedom Garden project came out of the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor because we started it with the Jesse Clipper garden, the memorial garden that we did there, and we've been doing it for over 10 years. We decided to expand it to food this year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We knew that there were lots of people who have food insecurities. That means that there are no grocery stores and places for us to get fruits and vegetables. That's why I said that Alex is really important to providing us with fruits and vegetables. But we're saying to people, why not garden, provide fruits and vegetables for your family over the course of the summer and fall, provide food security for your family, and save money that you can use to stabilize your resources and make it easier for you to withstand the pandemic. The other thing I want to tell you is you can help us with this project. And so we have a website and we have an email address, and the website is buffalofreedomgarden.com. Isn't that easy? buffalofreedomgarden.com. You can email me at yourfreedomgarden@gmail.com. That's easy too. And you can always reach out to Seamus. Seamus knows how to get to me. We had 339 people sign up to have freedom gardens in the areas that are most devastated by the COVID virus, 14215, 14213, 14212. These are the areas with most cases of the virus. And they signed up over the course of just 4 days. And we only have funding for 50 gardens, and we have 339 people that want these gardens. So if you are interested in helping us to get more gardens out to more people, and really being the city of good neighbors that we're known for, and also the Freedom Garden, we're trying to establish this network, just like the Underground Railroad network that we had in in the 1800s. What I tell you, yeah, they be speeding down here. So we want to create that same kind of network based on the generosity of Buffalonians to support our Freedom Garden project. And like I said, my name is Gail Wells. I'm the president of the Coppertown Block Club. I used to be the marketing director for Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor. You can use those two, the email address and the website to contact me, or you can contact me through Slow Roll, because Slow Roll has been a partner with us on another project, and that is the project that Drea Indora does. It's a food pantry, and I'm sure you also work with Alex. So we work together. We think you're great people. You make our communities more walkable and more sustainable. And thank you very much for all you do, Seamus. And If anyone wants to get in contact with me, once again, it's yourfreedomgarden@gmail.com. And then it's buffalofreedomgarden.org.
Thank you
No
so much.
.com.
Got
Okay,
it.
thank
Buffalo.
you. Hey,
Thank you.
India, how you doing?
India's here too. BuffaloFreedomGardens.com or org, did you say?
Yes, buffalofreedomgardens.com
.com.
and yourfreedomgarden@gmail. That's
Got
how
it.
you get us. And my
Thank you
name
so
is
much.
Gail Wells. Thank you so much. With my buddies over there at the Fruit Belt. If it wasn't for the 33, we would all be one contiguous community like it was meant to be, but urban renewal kind of destroys the landscape. But we love the people in the Fruit Belt. We know they love us. We're all one community downtown.
Yes, indeed. We're going to keep talking about all of that. Thank you, Ms. Gail. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
So we're on, as Ms. Gail said, now we are in the Fruit Belt right now. Now, you might not believe that, but we are on Cherry Street, and that overpass there will go over the 33 Kensington Expressway, which disconnected Cherry Street, which we are on right now, from the rest of the Fruit Belt, which Tony is eyeing over on the other side of the highway. It is easy to realize how a neighborhood was separated by a highway when you consider that the name of this street is Cherry Street, and everything on the other side of the highway is the Fruit Belt. So, I mean, we've stopped here before. Y'all who are veterans on Slow Roll, you know, we stop here before we take over that highway on Skyride with Go Bike. And this is really obvious how a highway disconnects a neighborhood. And we are here to connect. So we will continue to advocate for the folks in these areas who have been disconnected by these highways. So we stop here. This is Jefferson Avenue coming up, and a nice little pocket park here. So Jefferson and Cherry, and when Tony turns left here, and we'll turn another left onto Carlton to get into the heart of the Fruit Belt, the street that he lives on, we are going to bring in our next couple guests, and I see it looks like Alex keeps coming on and off, but just to reiterate what Gail is talking about and what we started with talking about delittering. This is, we took a little corner of the Fruit Belt over the weekend at Mulberry and Carlton and spruced it up with a handful of squad. Shout out to our squad for showing up consistently. And we were doing that while our friends at the Fruit Belt Community Land Trust were distributing food and supplies from the Moot Center a couple blocks away on High Street. And as we continue to explain how can we help? What are things that everyday people can do to help in this moment and in general? Obviously, an important one right now is food and access to food. As we've talked about in previous live streams and videos and on our rides, food access is an ongoing issue. It didn't arrive in a pandemic. It is an ongoing issue. And neighborhoods like Coppertown and Fruit Belt have suffered from a lack of access to food. And so now the tone is turned onto Carlton. Our next stop will be familiar to slow rollers, as we often stop over the past year. We've stopped multiple times at what will be the home of the African Heritage Food Co-op in the Fruit Belt. And there's a great story behind it. And as we get into that story, I want to show a little video of the last time we stopped there for Slow Roll. Our great producer, Mark Odian, call up that video, please, of when we were all together as a big, massive bike ride. Oh, that's Valeria. Okay. Well, that would be a rewind if you want to show that one.
Michigan Street Baptist Church.
We want to show the one with Alex. But hello, Valeria Joy. And there, Katrina. We'll show her next. Hi, Katrina. The one in the middle is the one with Alex. As we're stopped in the Fruit Belt. No, that's a different one.
Post time.
That's the one.
Everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
Cue it up.
Listen, guys. First of all, thank you to all the Slow Roll participants. You guys have been very, very supportive to our youth program, the Kitty Kickstand. Every time you buy something, you're helping us teach these young
No audio.
and entrepreneurs. about having and owning their own businesses, and that is appreciated and needed. We are, as you can see, there's construction happening on
Mia.
238 Carlton, right here, Carlton and Locust. It was a dream about 6 months ago. It was opened and we couldn't negotiate the price. Somebody purchased that for us.
Mia,
and
can you turn your
donated
phone
it to the
sideways,
co-op,
please?
which is awesome. And then the Preservation
Yes.
Network of Buffalo loaned us $50,000 to start getting it remediated. All right? The entire project is going to be around $500,000, and we're going to need a whole lot of help. But what we're doing here, we're bringing fresh fruits, vegetables, healthy offerings in walking distance in a food desert, right? That place used to be an old grocery and old deli 50 years ago. All right, so we're bringing it back. It's a historic building. Some of y'all like historic buildings. It's a historic building, a landmark building. Who's time?
That's it. All right. That was the last time we stopped in the fruit belt, and that building that Alex Wright, the founder of the African Heritage Food Co-op, was talking about is what we're looking at right now at the corner of Carlton and Lemon. Or is it Locust? It's in between Lemon and Locust. And joining us live is Alex's daughter, Mia, who is recognizable to Slow Rollers from when Alex was talking there. Mia and the crew from the Kitty Kickstand were serving up fruits and snacks and drinks as they do at every stop for Slow Roll. And I understand they're going to keep the Kitty Kickstand crew going. So Mia, it's good to see you.
Hey, how you doing? It's good to see you too.
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Tell us what's going on with you. And wait, first of all, last time we had a youngster on, we had to ask, can you just tell all of the rest of us what's it like to have school canceled for the rest of the year? How you doing?
I'm learning to adjust to it. It's new. It's new, yes, but I'm kind of still trying to get in the image in my head that we won't be back in school until like next year. So I'm still, still working on how to process online schooling and how to ask for extra help with teachers. So I'm still adjusting to that.
Well, you're doing something that the rest of us have never been through. So we're feeling for you, and I'm sure you're missing your friends, and fortunately you have a loving family, and and it's not you got, oh man, between Deuce and Baby James, you got plenty of action there for fellow students at home.
Yeah.
Tell us what's going on with the African Heritage Food Co-op and the Kitty Kickstand crew.
Well, what's going on? Well, what we're doing now, we're still trying to, get everything together since this whole pandemic. We are still making bags and making deliveries. I think last week, me and a couple other people, well, a whole lot of other people helped my dad make, I think it was 1,000 bags, and we loaded 400 on one truck, 600 on the other truck, and they delivered them. The two trucks that delivered them, and it took some time, but we got it done.
And that's amazing. How can people get involved?
How people can get involved? You can call my dad. His work number on the card is 716-573-1844. You can call him, get information. If you want to be a member, you can talk to him. He'll get you set up, and that's pretty much how you can get involved and help with the events that we have planned, like helping with the bags, filling them, or deliveries, or just coming in the store, selling fruits and advertising, helping more people get into what we doing here. So it's just to bring people in and build our community just a little bit bigger. So that's how you can get involved.
Beautiful. That's 716-573-1844 to contact the African Heritage Food Co-op. Now, lastly, before we let you go, you can see on the screen here, we're looking at the future African Heritage Food Co-op on Carlton Street. What do you
Yes.
see when you look at that? What do you see?
I see a beautiful future. I see people from the fruit belt coming and helping and just building, just making everything bigger and making it more popular and well known. Because a lot of black businesses are not really known. Like for example, like Amazon or Walmart or Target or you know like big like that. So to help black businesses get bigger and well known more and draw more people in, I think that's what I see, and especially getting youth involved like myself and people my age and lower, just to get into the businesses and communities and helping them. I think it's just I think it's going to be a very good future for the future references and years to come.
I appreciate your vision, Mia, and I share it. We're going to keep working together, and we appreciate how much work
Sure.
you put into this yourself and your family. And yes, sometime in the near future, we are going to be gathering around that building right there, 238 Carlton, and it's amazing the work you're doing, and we're going to keep supporting it. Appreciate you, Mia. So that's lastly,
Thank you.
again, that is 573-1844 to contact the African Heritage Food Co-op, right?
Right.
And so you can help distribute food. You can order food. I got my box. I got an organic box coming, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you. Keep in touch, Mia. Keep up the great
No
work.
problem. Thank you. You too.
Peace. So, boy, the regular slow rollers know how much the African Heritage Food Co-op means to us and how their presence, they're just ever present with Slow Roll. We're going to keep that going. Now, June 22nd is when we were scheduled to have Slow Roll right there. And we don't know exactly what we will be doing on June 22nd. But we will be doing something, and we will continue to gather in any way that we can that is reasonable. Again, we'll resume our group rides when public health leaders advise. But for now, we're doing it virtually, and we appreciate all of you joining us. Now, as Tony goes on, take a look at that on the left. Hey, Tone, stop there for a second. Now, this is the corner of Mulberry and Carlton, and that is, if you were with us earlier, you heard and saw the Director of Citizen Services, Oswaldo Mestri, explaining how 311 works. We put in a 311 call, and they are putting that street sign back up at the corner of Mulberry and Carlton. And anybody can do this. Call 311, and they will address it. And if they don't, call again. And so they're not only fixing that street sign there, but we did a cleanup on this corner. So right where one of our volunteers, Earl McCarley, lives, who's not only a Slow Roll Squad member, but a member of the board of directors for the Fruit Belt Community Land Trust. So as Tone continues through the Fruit Belt, and of course we're looking at up ahead at the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus, and it's just about shift change times. We got to send our love to all the first responders and healthcare workers in there who are just tireless on the front line for us. We're going to stay over here on the Fruit Belt side and welcome the director of the Fruit Belt Community Land Trust, India Walton. Come on in, India. Thanks for coming back on. Good to have you 2 weeks in a row. So Tony's turning up Maple, and then he's going to turn right on to High Street. And while he does that, can you introduce folks, if needed, to the Fruit Belt Community Land Trust, and explain what you have been organizing out of the Moot Center?
Absolutely. So my name is India Walton. I'm the executive director of the Fruit Belt Community Land Trust. Our mission is to create and preserve permanently affordable housing. However, since the beginning of the pandemic, because we've become a trusted presence in the neighborhood, we began getting calls for other types of assistance. It really started with providing just like errands for some of our senior members of the neighborhood. So, one day we decided that, while we're waiting for construction and development, we would sort of shift and provide some services to the folks in the neighborhood who are in need of fresh groceries. So Every week we've been using the Moot Center as a staging area. We bring in fresh produce, chicken, eggs, almond milk. This week we had yogurt, oatmeal, and all kinds of things that provide not only sustenance for folks in need, but also something that's really healthy and nutrient dense. We like to give out greens and cabbage and peppers and sweet potatoes and our produce bundles. So folks call, we gather all of our supplies at the Moot Center each Saturday. And then the good folks at Slow Roll and Queen City Couriers and other volunteers such as Miles Gresham, Danny Johnson, Tom V.A. Pierce, staff of Open Buffalo, some staff from Push all come out and lend a helping hand, and we deliver groceries to the door using a contact delivery system. And I may be talking too long, but I just want to say this last thing. You know, this really, I feel as a healthcare professional, is kind of the preferred model. I get that, like, there's these pop-up pantries all over, and I think that's great for the folks who could get there. But I think that us really focusing and honing in on a smaller geographic area and using the contactless delivery system not only serves to improve folks' chances of social distancing, but also there's folks in the house who are homebound, who don't have transportation to locally. And I think that it also helps to provide a sense of dignity, right? Like, people are not being asked other than where they live, if they have any health conditions that will for identifying information, no signatures or social security numbers. Like, we're just making sure that people are just taken care of. I want to shout out folks like Alex, like Drea. You know, we are providing services to different levels of need, and I think that all together, like, we are creating sort of this organic distribution network that sort of bubbled from the ground up. So I think that Donna is supposed to be joining us a little bit later. So, you know, I want her to be able to talk about, like, how we've been able to collaborate and serve some families from School 31 and also the Broadway-Fillmore area.
Thank you, India. I might ask you to stay on and explain that, because we don't have Donna on the line yet, but that is certainly our intention to have her on. And as we cross from Fruit Belt into Broadway-Fillmore, I think it's important to just make clear here that, as you've said, this is, you were not previously in a practice of food distribution, but this is a rapid response for the moment that you have taken the responsibility in your role as a leader in the Fruit Belt. Can you explain for folks who are unfamiliar what the Fruit Belt Community Land Trust is all about?
Yeah, so the Land Trust really was born out of a desperate plea from the community to not only remain in place, but to also have some say over what types of development occurs in the Fruit Belt neighborhood. There's lots of vacant land that can be put to good public use, but we know that with the speculation that's been going on due to the rapid growth of the medical campus, that property over there is becoming expensive after reassessment. Taxes are going up, and we want to make sure that people can live where they choose to. And I think that for a neighborhood as closely knit as the Fruit Belt, like, people live there because they want to, right? We have generations and generations of family, and we want to protect them. So our first project is going to be in collaboration with Habitat for Humanity. We're going to build 2 single-family homes on Rose Street that will be made permanently affordable. Yeah, I don't want to get too far into the weeds because it's very technical to understand how a ground lease works, but essentially what it does is it separates the value of the land from the structure. The person owns the structure, and the land underneath is owned and controlled by the community. So we say that in exchange for us making this home that you otherwise wouldn't be able to afford affordable, you agree that it will remain affordable and you won't resell it at a level that another can't afford. It's tested, it's proven. There are more than 270 land trusts all over the country. They have very high success rate, low rates of default. In the real estate collapse of 2007, community land trusts were well insulated from the housing crisis because there's an ongoing stewardship and a real sense of community. So when you are, getting into trouble, there's someone to reach out and say, hey, we noticed that you're late on your lease fee. What can we do to help, right? It's a catch them before they fall type of situation. So if folks want more information, they can visit fruitbelt-clt.org or Fruitbelt Community Land Trust, all one word, .org. They can also visit our social media. We're on Facebook. And I email india@fruitbeltcommunitylandtrust.org. I'm always down to chat, explain more about our model and how awesome it is that we're able to do the things that we do and support with the support of both the city of Buffalo, the Buffalo Area Niagara Land Bank, and all of our community partners that make sure we keep on.
Thank you, India. And we're struggling with our connection with Donna, so we're going to hold on to you for a minute. And when you say to reach out, we know that you mean it. You are as accessible and constructive and responsive as anyone that I know, and it is so much appreciated. And as a means of that, I guess of explaining that, as we're coming down, crossed over from Herman to Smith Street, and we get into the heart of Donna's neighborhood, we'll do our best. Before we can get her on the line, how about explaining how you extended that service that you're providing for the Fruit Belt out of the Moot Center to include Donna's neighborhood here?
Things just kind of organically for me a lot of the time. Leadership development program called Emerging Leaders. So, we chat a lot and we talk about the work we're doing in the community and how we can help each other. And she had already been, just going as an individual to the pop-up pantries and grabbing extra and bringing it back into her neighborhood. And I say, hey, listen, I'm going to roll this thing out at the Moot Center. Maybe we can just do it together, split the cost like that. So, for over the it's really grown from us serving only the Fruit Belt to also moving into Broadway Fillmore, serving families out of Food 31. So we're actually, right now, I think we're serving 9 zip codes maybe or something crazy like that. So it really is kind of growing exponentially and only through word of mouth. I mean, we went out into the Fruit Belt, we knocked on every door, we left a flyer, and now there are people who are calling us from all over the city, including into Broadway Fillmore. So we're very proud to now we're up to 50 families each, and I don't know how all of the pieces just all in place on Saturday mornings, and when they're rolling in, by home saddling and just saying, hey, I appreciate everything in this package. I can actually use everything, seems to fit together, and we just appreciate what you guys are doing. So I think as long as the resources are there, we're going to keep busting our butts every weekend and getting it done, because that's what we do. Plug my shirt too.
That's right.
It says, "Women will save the world."
Amen. I believe that. You are as much of that again as anyone. I just appreciate you so much, India, and I wish we could have you pass the baton to Donna as we planned, as we just turned here from Smith Street. Shout out to Nate and Nate's Place. We just passed one of our favorite after party spots. We're going to pass it again on Monday nights. But now he's just turned on to Peckham. And Tony's going to stop coming up at the Common Roots Farm. And we're going to go past, so this neighborhood here is part of Broadway Fillmore, and it is, we're talking with Gail and the Coppertown Block Club, and there is many block clubs in the Fruit Belt, and over here is the Greater East Side Field of Dreams Block Club, which encompasses 14 blocks, and that is, I'm going to do my best to explain it without Donna here, if I can remember correctly. Now we have, we came into it through Smith. So it goes from down to the south, which way is Tony's heading, is Howard Street to the south, Kettner Street to the west, Wilson Street to the east, and up to Paderewski to the north. And it's 14 blocks, and really one of the most active block clubs in Buffalo. And Donna has been involved not only with you and your work, India, overlapping in many ways, but as a leader of this block club with the Great American Cleanup and with National Night Out, where just has been a rock for us and a lot of the outreach that we've been doing with Slow Roll and Go Bike and getting to know communities. And Donna is one like you, India, just really one of the most accessible and constructive and responsive people. I can just, man, that should be a mantra we could keep saying, that you are just always in building mode, right? We're always building. And
Absolutely.
I'm sorry that Donna isn't here, but but I won't hang you on the line all night, India, except to say, just to repeat, how can people get involved?
You can find us on Facebook at Fruit Belt Community Land Trust. You can find us on the web at fruitbelt-clt.org or fruitbeltcommunitylandtrust, all one word.org. You can also email me at india@fbcommunitylandtrust.org, or you can call me. Like, my number should be just posted on the billboard because I get all kinds of weird calls at all times of the day. But I never mind. I'll send you the voicemail and call you back.
Well, keep in touch, and I know you're going to take this Saturday morning off, and that's deserved. We'll be there whenever you need us next. Look forward to seeing you again, India. Thank you for joining us.
All right, take care.
Peace.
Bye.
So unfortunately, we don't have Donna, but we do have Rebecca Riley from Go Bike. Let's bring in Rebecca Riley. And Rebecca, I'm going to bring you in early because we love talking about this neighborhood and working with the folks in this neighborhood. And it's good to see you again, Rebecca. And
Hi.
can you explain for anyone who's watching and listening what you've already explained to me before about how this block club has meant so much to you and the outreach that you do for Go Bike and beyond?
You know, I didn't have a lot of friends when I got back to Buffalo in 2010. I got out of the Marine Corps and I just wanted to stop moving. And I wanted to have my community, my messenger community, but of course there's no bike messengers back then when I was when I first got back here in 2010. And I decided to have an event called the Central Terminator. And I really wanted to invite everyone from around the area to come participate in this race at the Central Terminal. And some of the folks, the first folks I actually talked to were Marva and Mike Threat. And they were receptive from the beginning. And they said, well, you know, what about the people that don't have a bike? How are they going to participate in your race? And I said, oh, that's great. I'm glad you brought that up, because I went and I actually there
you go.
Sorry, I actually went to Go Bike and I bought a bunch of bikes for really cheap, like $5 and $10, and I fixed them up myself, which was super easy. And I brought them to my race, so whoever showed up from the neighborhood could just grab a bike and race.
Beautiful. Hold all those thoughts, Rebecca, because we have Donna now. So, Mark, let's bring Donna onto the screen while we are stopped here at Common Roots. And we have plenty more to talk about with Rebecca, but Donna, welcome. I see you, Donna. Can you hear us? Welcome. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us. Now we are now stopped. I hope you can see the screen.
Yes.
At Common Roots. So for those unfamiliar and for everyone in general, can you welcome us to your neighborhood? Explain
Yes. So
what you're seeing.
yes, you have reached the Broadway Fillmore area. So Common Roots is a garden that was very small at one time that Tara Dumas had. She was the one that said that she wanted to do it for the community, and then she has grown it to just a beautiful place. It's usually open up on Saturdays, and the community comes out. If I'm not mistaken, she does shares to other areas. As far other parts of the west side, but also a lot of people from the suburbs also come and receive fruits and vegetables and packages also from her. But it's just a beautiful place. Hopefully, in the future, in the near future, she'll be able to have some Mayor Summer youth workers that can help her, keep everything going. And it's just a great program. We're really just excited for her to be part of the block club and being, part of the neighborhood. It's definitely a great asset.
So tell us, before we had you in, I was doing my best to give the boundaries of the Greater East Side Field of Dreams Block Club, but tell us all about it and the work you do and how you got involved in this neighborhood.
East Side Field of Dreams Block Club was only 2 streets, Detroit and Coit. We wanted to have our meetings, and we so without adding them to the list. So they added that street, which is on Peckham Street. And one day we were having a meeting. There were other people that wanted to be definitely involved in the block club that wasn't a part of those 2 streets. So we had this bright idea. So let's add on some more streets. We never thought adding maybe 1 or 2 streets is going to end up adding another 10. So now we have 12 streets that's under the block club. And we're just really, I would say, really excited about having all of those streets. All of those streets that's included. Like I said, we started off with just 2, and now we have 12. It's a lot of people. It's just a great time, just being able to connect with the different groups of people. So when I first moved over there, probably about 10 years ago, the neighborhood looked a lot different. It wasn't a lot of empty lots like it is now. And everything is just changing. It's just so much diversity. We have the African community. It's just, a lot of immigrants. We have the Latino community that's now here. So the neighborhood is changing. Like every 5 years, we have new groups of people that's coming over, that's doing more community gardens. It's just great to have the immigrant community a part of being a part of our community now, because they know a lot about community gardens from where they're from their homeland. So they brought a lot of skills that they have from where they are over to where we are today. So they're just able to, reconnect to the soil, reconnect to the earth. And it's just a great thing to have them over there to be able to teach basically our community how to grow for those that's not from areas, like the South. A lot of people are still from the North and they don't know anything about growing.
Well, thank you, Donna. Now stay with us a moment here, and
Okay.
Tony's going to start riding again. And can you be our guide if you can see that live screen and take us around as Tony is going to ride? We're going to be in your neighborhood for a few more blocks, and and as you guide us, I hope Tony can hear me to start riding again. But we want to explain how you are involved with Block Club and what an asset the Block Clubs are. We started tonight talking about the Great American Cleanup and how that's going to be rescheduled. But your Greater East Side Field of Dreams Block Club takes part in so many of these activities citywide, like the Great American Cleanup and National Night Out. And so again, as it looks like Tony's starting to move, explain to us just how valuable that block club is to this big area now that you're in, ever growing.
So the let me see. We're talking about the cleanup. So the cleanup we usually have the second. We actually will be having it right now, coming up this weekend. We had to cancel it because of COVID-19, but we usually what we do is we reach out to everyone in the community. Put flyers out everywhere, posted at Broadway Market. We in the past we have partnered up with Matt Urban, as well as the University Tool Library has supplied us with all of the tools and essentials that we need to do to clean up. Partnering with the city and them just making sure that they come and pick up the garbage, just leave it on the corners, supply us with gloves and everything that we need as far as that and bags. They give us also a lot of bags. The Hope Center also was a big partner as well as Damon College. Um, so we usually just ask everybody, you don't have to come out really and help us with all the blocks because there's so many, but what you can do is just come in front of your own on your own house, and just while we're out there cleaning, we just ask for you just to clean up the front. We ask the city to come out usually a couple days before the cleanup, which is usually Monday and Tuesday, and what they do is make sure that all the lots are done so we get out there and clean. Only thing we have to do is just really just do some sweeping and back up the grass and everything like that. Just all the extra. But it's just a great time for the community to come out. Our president, Marva Threat, she usually has her wheelbarrow full of water and she's rolling it around to each to make sure that water is going to every block and make sure we don't die of thirst out there because it usually is very hot picking up all of those bags. But yeah, that's usually what usually happens. Like I said, it's supposed to be this week. Hopefully, um, our block class. So we have a block captain for each block of the block club, and that's the person that we reach out to when we need, we want to get anything, any literature out, correspondence, or anything else. We reach out to that block captain, and they make sure that they deliver what we need to each street.
Beautiful. Tony just turned on to Wilson. We just passed Wardinsky and Sons. Shout out to Lisa Wardinsky.
Yes.
And Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. Brian rides with us regularly. It looks like Wilson just got paved. Is that right? As he's turning on to Paderewski here?
Yes. Beautiful. Now, this is where I was telling you about right here. So this is Brian Bornkamp's house. This house is right here, right across the street to the, I'm trying to think, right there, where all the trees, he's out there getting ready to put about 13 trees out. The project, he's working on a beautification project for our area.
Beautiful. And that's another one that got just postponed, right? Interrupted, but he's still working on it, yeah?
Yes.
And here is that, on the left is that little pocket park with the benches that we were talking about.
Yes.
Again, we go past Nate's place again. And this is it coming up right here. So again, shout out to Nate's place, one of our favorite after party spots with Slow Roll. And
oh yeah.
Now, and on the left, now explain to us again, like this is something that could be, right, with those benches?
Yes. So those benches right there were put there some years ago as part of also a beautification project, but it was never finished. I'm not really sure. We have to look into it to see actually who owns the lots, to see if, what we can put there, what additions that we could, put there for the community. I think it's a great space that we could just be able to, to sit down, have a conversation. So that's what I'm looking into now, is to see who actually owns that property, and if we can get some additional benches. As he's writing, Tony's writing, you can see so many empty lots that we definitely have a lot of room to do some different projects. Other than, we still need housing, but there's other projects that we also could be working on.
Well, we love to help with that, and we will keep in touch, Donna. Can you, as we exit your neighborhood, I think we just did right there with that passing Kettner there. Can you leave us with a way? How can people get involved?
So you can get involved with India Walton was on here earlier, stating that we're working on a collaborative effort in regards to getting food out to the community, which is Broadway Fillmore, adopting a school of 31, their families, as well as the residents community of the Fruit Belt. Will reach me. I started my own project, which is the Impacted Families Project. So I'm also on Facebook here, Donna Latham Edwards. We do take donations, which is, not mistaken, on Cash App, which is um, the Fruit Belt Community Land Trust. I think that's the, or is it? I have to look into that more. I'm not really sure, but you can always email us, Facebook. I mean, we're always on Facebook all the time. We're on here almost every day with some type of live video. India is involved in so many different projects, and so am I. We've been giving out face masks, along with Buffalo Resilience gave us 60 face masks that we did include in our packages on Saturday. So we're very thankful for that. We have some food packages, produce packages that will be coming also on May 30th. So they'll give us additional food to hand out. So we should be able to do about 50 more packages out to the community. So it's a great thing. Like I said, you can reach us on here if you have any questions, concerns, you need help with housing, anything you need help with, we really can help you. If we can't help you personally, we will definitely get the information that's needed to get you what you need.
That's right. That's how we roll. So same goes for Slow Roll. If anyone has any questions about any of this, wants to raise their hand and get involved, let us know. Thank you, Donna.
Okay, thank you so much.
We'll keep in touch. I'll see you again soon.
Okay, thank you.
Peace. So now we have exited Donna's Broadway Fillmore neighborhood as we're on Emsley, and we are headed south. We're basically on our way back to Silo City now. And there is the YMCA, William and Emsley. And again, a shout out to Independent Health. We had a great conversation with our friends there earlier today, and they have plans to move their fitness in the parks that they work in partnership with the YMCA to do that virtually. And we have more plans together. And again, just encourage people that like there are so many ways to get involved right now. Some folks can do so from home. You can do so from home. And for some folks who want to get out and do some things, we're doing them carefully. As Donna mentioned, we've so much support, people coming together to make sure that we have all of the safety supplies that we need to respond to the needs of the people. And so as we come down Emsley, we're going to get into my old neighborhood. And so in the next block here is, the next light up there is Clinton. And when we cross over Clinton, we will enter the Hydraulics, AKA Larkinville. And that is a sign we're on the home stretch because we've lined up some musicians to perform at the after party tonight, who many folks will recognize from Larkin Square and Hydraulic Hearth. And we're excited. I'm excited to see these folks. I know Mark is too, producing here. I want to bring back Rebecca as we get on here. We're going to stop in Larkin Square, and on the home stretch, we'll talk about the work that Rebecca is continuing to do with Go Bike, which has news today. So Rebecca, before we get to Larkin Square, can you give us an update on the Open Streets advocacy? I know there's news even just this afternoon from Go Bike.
I don't actually know what you're talking about.
Justin just posted a streets plan, a proposal of which streets would be good for open streets.
Okay. That's yeah. Okay, yeah, that is news. Sorry. Well, we collected a lot of data about streets and where most of the crashes are happening, where people are having problems just, crossing the street, riding a bike. These are where the accidents are actually, the crashes are actually happening. And we overlaid on top of that how far it is for people in that neighborhood to get to a park. We also overlaid income statistics and homes that don't have cars, so they're obligated to take out alternative forms of transportation, and income levels. So what we came up with in this map is places that we think, based on the data, where people do not necessarily have good access to outdoor spaces where they can walk around and just be human beings and be with their families and walk with their children, and maybe grandma comes too. I got to tell you, I was on the east side a little while ago, and I was heartbroken because I saw this older woman. I mean, she was walking with her walker on the street, and I thought, my God, the speeds have been going up all over Buffalo, and specifically on the east side by about 30%. And it's actually more dangerous on the street, because the reason why is because the streets are open, and so people are a lot more reckless when they drive. And so here's this woman walking down the street with her walker, an older woman. I'm thinking she's about as old as my grandmother. And I thought, God, how scary. And I was wondering, why was she on the street? And I looked over, and the sidewalk was all broken up. And I mean, there's just no way she could have pushed that walker on the sidewalk that was just basically destroyed. And I also think about, if she was on the sidewalk, even if it wasn't destroyed, it was about 3.5 feet wide. So what does she do if someone starts coming? She's a very vulnerable person. And this is playing out all the east side every day. And it's, what we're looking at Go Bike is cities across the United States and around the world. Like Cincinnati just came online talking about some open streets proposals. And a lot of cities are framing it in such a way that it's an economic it's an economic stimulator. If you actually are honest with yourself, Georgia opened and they have their businesses open, and there's a lot of businesses that aren't opening because they're afraid and they don't want to put their workers at risk. How do you feel good about being outside unless you're socially distant these days? So we look at the streets, and it's become really obvious how much of the street in our cities that we devote to cars. And you see these wide, cavernous streets and avenues absolutely empty. And then you have cities defending the right of way for cars when car driving is down by 60% in some places. And it just kind of boggles the mind. So we really want to make sure everyone knows that you do have a voice, and it's really possible for you to make a difference if you reach out. And if you could go on our website and go to the news and look up Better Streets, Better Buffalo, and Open Streets. And there's a pledge there, and you can actually hit the button and sign our pledge. That's the first thing you can do. If you want to do more, you can actually reach out to your councilman and tell them, whatever place that you're in is just it's not enough. You need an open street. Maybe it's not the entire street. Maybe it's just a bike lane worth. And another thing that you can do is you can take pictures and hashtag Better Streets, Better Buffalo. And we'll collect these things and we'll send them to the people that need to see them. So if you're up at, let's say, MLK Park, or you're at Delaware Park, or wherever you are, the city's directed people to go to these parks. And for now, it's not too bad. I was at Delaware Park this past weekend, and it was a lot of people, but it was easy enough to get in a social distance. But the thing is, it wasn't that warm out. It was kind of warm, but there was a threat of rain. So what happens when this city, the people that see a ray of sunshine and have a habit of running out in mass droves and getting in whatever kind of sunlight they can get into, what happens when everyone comes out when it's really beautiful out? So if you feel like you're cramped in your space, or maybe it's too dangerous to get to a park, and you don't have another way to get to a park besides walking or riding a bicycle, then you need to actually reach out and sign our pledge. And if you are also on our website, there's a draft letter that you can use to write to your councilman or even the mayor. I've kind of taken my own initiative. I have friends sending me articles from all over the world about open streets plans in different cities around the world. And I've been taking those articles and I've been sending them to Byron Brown on Twitter. So just inundate them. Just say, hey, our streets are just, they're empty practically. And it doesn't make sense when we don't have parks in certain parts of town. We should have open streets.
Well, squeaky wheel gets the grease, and so we started this live stream with the Director of Citizen Services from the city, Oswaldo Mestri, talking about how we have been working together with 311 and reporting issues on our streets and sidewalks. And we have built a relationship with them because of the frequency that we use that, the frequency that we contact them. And so we encourage everyone to do that because it is at least to start, as easy as calling 311. And if you don't get the answer that you want, then keep calling or call your friends to call or tweet at the mayor like Rebecca's talking about. We need to advocate for ourselves. Sometimes it is going to take a squeaky wheel because other cities are doing this and Buffalo is behind. So we are going to keep working together on that and continue advocating for that with whatever platform we can like this. So before Tony gets moving again, we're going to keep you with us, Rebecca, because as we finish the route here, we want to talk about another Go Bike program. But just to give a heads up here, shout out to our friends in Larkin Square. As I said, I had the honor of helping establish Larkin Square and bringing the music, and our performers at the after party tonight will all have stories tying back to Larkin Square and Hydraulic Hearth and up on the roof at Hydraulic Hearth. And again, a shout out to our partner at Independent Health, that just as they support our events, they're such a big supporter of Larkin Square's events too. A lot of Larkin Square events have gone digital, virtual, pardon me, like the author talks. They turned their Mother's Day sale online, which was great. Another way to support local businesses. So keep in touch and follow Larkin Square, and things like Food Truck Tuesday at Live at Larkin. We just don't know when we're going to be able to have big events like that. And when I say we, I mean everybody who's in the event business. Again, I had the honor of helping start it, and have had the honor for the past 2 years of just enjoying it as a neighbor and attendee of the events, and look forward to those coming back. So Tony's turning down Van Rensselaer on the edge of Larkin Square. That's the Larkin Exchange Building on the left and the Larkin Center of Commerce on the right, and in the heart of the hydraulics. And we're going to cross over Exchange Street there. And Van Rensselaer is a short street that just goes here from Larkin Square at Seneca to South Park. And once we get over there, get under the 190, we'll have crossed from the hydraulics into the valley. And then we will go into the ward through South Park on the route of the old neighborhood St. Patrick's Day Parade, which has been rescheduled for September. We sure hope that we can make that happen then. Such a big event for me and my family. But Rebecca, as we approach South Park, I want to get from open streets to talking about a new Go Bike campaign called Better Streets. And South Park is part of this, one of the early ways of advocacy that just someone watching this at home or someone reflecting on their experience riding their bike or walking around town. Hey, shout out NFTA. I wonder if that's Hugh driving to our essential workers on the NFTA. But explain what the Better Streets, Better Buffalo campaign is, how it's relevant to a street like South Park here, and how people can get involved.
Well, Better Streets, Better Buffalo is a way that we can actually meet with community and get their honest and candid feedback about where they're living and how to make the street safer to use. By extension, it doesn't necessarily translate directly, but it can also make it somewhat safe in other aspects as well. A lot of planning that happens in cities is very top down. It's actually kind of rare when engineers and planners start with communities and see what the problem is as they perceive it and what some potential solutions are. I come from a creative studies background, so it's kind of my habit to ask first and to believe that if I'm not from a neighborhood, that I don't necessarily know what's right or wrong for the neighborhood. And when I started at Go Bike, we all kind of discovered through me going out doing crosswalk. I'm sorry?
I hear you. You're talking about crosswalks, and we're about to get to one of the ones that you did when we make the next turn here.
Right. What I discovered is people come up and talk to you when you're doing it, and it's a real opportunity. And so we were kind of talking about how do we really expand on that interaction, that magic that happens when you're out on the street and someone comes up and says, what in the world are you doing? Or you go to a community, like one of my first pop-ups was actually the Greater East Side Field of Dreams. They were the first. Oh, no, they were. I think they were the first crosswalks I ever did, to tell you the truth. And I went to Marva and I said, Marva, what do you guys want? And she said, well, what can you do? And so I kind of gave her a list, and she went back and, we talked to the community. They had a community meeting, and I just put it out there. I said, we'd like to help you make your walking experience or riding experience a little bit safer. And we want to know what you want. And so Better Streets, Better Buffalo is kind of asking that question on a larger scale, because we found that when people are truly like participating from the beginning, when these planning things happen, A, they're better received. B, it's more likely to be appropriate for the place you are. Another example is Martin Luther King Drive's Martin Luther King Park, the road diet. I went to the community, we held a meeting, and I said, what do you guys see are issues? And they said, it's too fast. And I said, well, this is a plan that could make it slower. What do you think of that? And they're like, oh, that's great. That's cool. Let's do that. And I said, but what's your piece going to be? How are you going to put your mark on it as a community?
There's
and I
the
had a
Shamrock
couple
crosswalk. I'm going to interrupt you. Pardon me, Rebecca. We just went over your Shamrock crosswalk. Right?
Yeah.
We can't get too far without talking about that. Keep going and make sure you tell everybody about that one.
Yeah, so that's the same idea. Like the idea was to slow down the street with bump outs, and in those bump outs we put shamrocks, and we put shamrocks not because I thought of it, because I put it out to the neighborhood, the Old First Ward, and I said, what do you guys want? And they said, we would like to put shamrocks. So that's what, and they actually created the stencils, and we went out and did it. The folks at the MLK Park, I said, well, what would you guys like to do? And they said, well, we want planters. I said, great, we'll buy them. And they're like, really? I said, yeah, what do you want to put on them? And they go, we can put stuff on them? I said, absolutely, I'll buy the paint. And they were like, great. So they decided they want MLK quotes. Makes total sense since it's MLK Park. And I said, well, there's all these flags flying around, the Pan-African flag. Wouldn't it be cool if it was the background? And they said, oh, yeah, let's do that. So that's what they did. And, they were really proud of it, and they had every reason to be. They're beautiful. And the best part about doing pop-ups, like the one in the Old Force Ward with the Shamrocks, is it's a chance for us to come together as community, work together on something, hear each other out, hear each other's story, and bond. And I tell you, every single neighborhood I've been to, whoever comes up, I end up bonding with them in some way, because they're giving me knowledge about their neighborhood that I don't know. So Better Streets, Better Buffalo is taking that concept and just really making it large and showing some possible opportunities for people to directly. Oh, and because of the community working together, we got the MLK road diet to be made permanent. So we couldn't have done that. We could not have done that without them.
And again, that's just kind of an example of we talked about when India was on, just about the being accessible, being constructive, being responsive. That's how we've been able to do those. Even something that is seemingly small, like a crosswalk, is something that really demands collaboration and an understanding of meeting people where they're at.
My favorite thing is saying to a community, hi, I'm here. We can do stuff with you. And what would you like to do? What is your issue? Let's talk about it. And I just love the conversation that comes afterwards, because, it's like the first time a lot of times that someone has actually wanted to hear their opinion about the street. And the street is so integral to all of us. And it connects us to each other. And you can really see where we've gotten disconnected. When you look, I mean, just look literally at the street on Elmwood near my home. There's a huge bunch of potholes where the buses are. And it's like a physical canyon between the driving public and the walking public. And the two, they never meet. And it feels dangerous. It's very hard to ride a bicycle on North Elmwood, and people are terrified of it. And no one asks the pedestrians, no one asks the cyclists what they want there. But I'm willing to bet if you had a meeting at a bus stop somewhere, they'd have plenty of ideas. They'd have great ideas. That's what I found over and over again. And I love doing that work. And the Better Streets, Better Buffalo is, we're going to start rolling out some more things. Like what we've done all winter is we've invited people to community meetings, because we want to make sure that folks that live in the neighborhoods that are getting work done by the DPW, they have a say. They get to say, we want you to do this. We see this issue. We don't see how your plan is solving this issue. We want to hear what your plans are so we can have a more robust conversation about it. There's a lot of big things happening, so stay tuned. I'll definitely keep you guys informed. I put it out through the block club list, and to be honest with you, if you feel like you want to be on the list for community meetings or any other kind of planning, just email me at rebecca@gobikebuffalo.org, and I am more than happy to put you on a list and make sure you get informed about stuff, invite you to meetings, talk to you about whatever you want to talk about as far as the streets are concerned, and other forms of transportation besides cars, how to make the street safe for everybody from 8 to 80.
That's right. Shout out to 80 cities. Thank you, Rebecca. That explains it well, that we may be known for our big mouths, but we have big ears too, and we're here to build. And so encouraging anybody who's watching this to get in touch if they want to be a part of any of this. And we will keep connecting because that's our mission. So Rebecca, thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you again soon. And
Thanks, Seamus.
you can just hang out because it's after party time. We're back at Silo City. So thanks to everybody who's joined us for a 10-mile ride around the city of Buffalo. Thanks to our support and gear rider in the back there, Billy Pearson from Squad, and Tony Cafaro with the helmet cam, the co-founder of Slow Roll. And now that we are back at Silo City, we're going to have our after party. And so I'm going to go and get my after party beverage because it's Buffalo Local after party time. And because we were in the hydraulics, AKA Larkinville, I got myself some Flying Bison, which is just down Seneca Street from Larkin Square. And again, we're going to have musicians tonight who are not only familiar to folks who have been attending Larkin Square events, but since we're at Silo City, and some of the musicians who are known from the beautiful new bar and restaurant that's built into Silo City and opened recently called Duende. And our first performer with us, who's known for playing Duende a lot, but also is known as the first musician to play Larkin Square. Let's welcome Dave Ruck. Hey, Dave. It's great to see you, man.
As the first musician to play Larkin Square.
The very first with the Canal Street String Band, which opened for the 10,000 Maniacs at the inaugural kickoff, the kickoff of Larkin Square, June 2012.
Yep, I remember it well.
It was beautiful, and you've been playing Duende a lot with a bunch of different bands, yeah?
Yeah. Yes. I'm wearing a lot of different musical hats these days. I think when you and I first met each other, I was doing a lot of, which I still am, doing a lot of kind of music related to Buffalo's history and the Erie Canal and the Great Lakes. And I still do a lot of that and travel around to schools and do educational presentations for kids on similar topics. But yeah, in the last couple of years, I've rediscovered the electric guitar. So I've put a bunch of different little fun groups together to play down at Duende and some other places. But yeah, Duende's just become a real favorite for not only myself, but for everybody I play with and for lots of people who are kind of discovering the place over the last year or two. It's just one of our favorite places in the world.
Agreed.
Sounds good. I'm going to play one I just learned recently. This is, I don't know if you're familiar with Elizabeth Cotton, Seamus. She's an African-American woman born in the 1890s in North Carolina, and she learned to play guitar from her, in the way a lot of rural kids at that time learned, which was like her older brother would go out to work and she'd pull his banjo off the wall, you know, the one she was admonished not to touch, and she'd pull it down as a little 4 or 5-year-old and try to learn how to play a couple things, and then she'd put it back up. So one of the things that happened for her was that she didn't know which way to hold it, so she ended up playing a right-handed instrument left-handed. So she played, so her thumb, which normally would play the bass strings on the guitar, played the melody notes, and her index finger, she only used 2 fingers, would play the bass notes. So she learned to play upside down and left-handed, and developed a really remarkable style, wrote a bunch of great music, and then she dropped it for 40 years. And luckily for us, she became a domestic helper in the home in Washington, D.C. of the Seeger family, the infamous musical Seeger family. And once she got around all these instruments again, she said, "Oh, I used to play a little guitar." And so she picked up the guitar again. This is in the 1950s, and blew everybody away. So they got her a recording contract. 1958, her first album came out. She was already in her 60s. So this is one of the songs that she wrote, and I'll try to play it in her style, although I'm not going to play upside down. It goes like this. One old woman, Lord, in this town, she been telling her lies on me. I wish to my soul that old woman would die. She been telling her lies on me. Oh, baby, it ain't no lie. Oh, baby, it ain't no lie. Oh, baby, it ain't no lie. You know this life I'm living is mighty hard. I've been all around this whole round world, and I just got back today. Work all week, honey, I give it all to you. Honey, babe, what more can I do? Oh, baby, it ain't no lie. Oh, baby, it ain't no lie. Oh, baby, it ain't no lie. You know this life I'm living is mighty hard. telling her lies on me. I wish to my soul that old woman would die. She's been telling her lies on me. Oh, baby, it ain't no lie. Oh, baby, it ain't no lie. Oh, baby, it ain't no lie. You know this life I'm living is mighty hard. Elizabeth Cotton. Well, Seamus, you're not talking, so I guess I'll play another one. I mentioned that a couple of years ago, I rediscovered the electric guitar. I hadn't played it in 20 some years. And we were having a 50th birthday party for my wife, and the guitar player in the band that we hired got sick at the last minute, so they were about to cancel the gig. And I said, well, I might be able to play with you guys. And they said, well, okay, you play electric guitar? And I said, yeah, I used to. So I pulled out an old guitar I had in the closet and filled in with these guys, and I had such a riot. I grew up playing electric guitar in bands, and so ever since then, that was just about 2 years ago, I've been at it again with the electric and having a blast. So I have a brand new band, a brand new project that's called Oregon Fairchild. And it's three of us, two dear friends of mine I've been playing with for a long time in different bands, but we're writing music for the first time in any of our lives. I'm 55 years old and just got around to writing my own music. So Oregon Fairchild does mostly original music, and it's an organ trio. So it's the old format that was kind of a popular jazz combo in the 60s, where the organ player plays the bass with their left hand on the lower, on the lower register keys, and the organ with the right hand, and then drums and guitar. So there's no official bass player. The keyboard player sort of plays both of those roles. So we've been having a blast. In fact, our very first inaugural gig was at Duende at Silo City, and a couple hundred people sort of overwhelmed us, showed up, and we had just such a great night. So I'll play you, without the other two guys here, I'll just play you one of the pieces that we do. This is one that I wrote over the winter. I named it after a particularly nice glass of Chianti that I was enjoying. The winery was called Bibbiano, so the tune is called Bibbiano. And it goes like this. Viviano, one of the Oregon Fairchild tunes.
Nice, Dave. Sounded great. That's a bit of an electric reflection. I don't know if you already got me thinking Hendrix talking about Elizabeth Cotton and playing a guitar upside down, but I caught a little Wing vibe there with the electric reflection.
Very cool.
So as you've shown already, I mean, you're an educator. The way you taught us there about Elizabeth Cotton, who I wasn't familiar with. And also making original music and a true professional in that way. I mean, there's an example for local musicians. I'm sure a lot of local musicians would love a lesson in how to have 200 people show up to your first gig as a band. Oregon Fairchild at Duende, huh?
Well, you know, once you get to be our age, you tend to have met a lot of people. So I think you can call in a lot of favors, maybe.
Well, there's something. Maybe you. So you've revealed your age. Maybe now they're your friends who weren't coming out to see you when they were 40 because they had kids are now empty nesters. So they're all coming out. Yeah.
You know what? We've seen that happening a ton over the last couple of years. Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, everybody got busy, myself included. I mean, I've been able to do music full time for almost 30 years now. But as I had my own family and young kids at home, I started to pursue the route of daytime work as a musician, which meant visiting schools and doing educational programs for kids. And so I was able to make a decent living and be home most nights when it was time for dinner and then to help with the homework. So that was kind of really by design for sure. And I think a lot of my contemporaries were doing the same thing. And so now that we're of let's say a more mature vintage, yeah, I think a lot of people that used to come see us even when we were all 20, 25 years old are hungry to go out and have those experiences again. And we've been seeing a lot of those people that we used to play for, literally 30 years ago. It's been great.
Well, and how have you been managing the last couple months then? I mean, the livelihood of live music is completely interrupted. It's going to be one of the last things to be restored. So how are you holding up?
Well, I mean, pretty much everything, the bottom fell out, I mean, kind of my bread and butter is doing the educational work in schools. And so all of that got canceled, obviously, and for the foreseeable future. And then the stuff I do around town at Duende and other places, that's really more for fun. I mean, I don't think I'd want to try to make a living just doing that. So I treat that as just sort of like, a great outlet. I do music for my day job, but then it's a different way to do music at night without needing to rely on that part of it for my livelihood. So yeah, no, the last few months have been absolutely, I mean, I've been doing a lot of live streaming. The virtual tip jars that I've been putting out and lots of friends have been putting out for their music has really been helping. People have been very generous, and it's amazing. I mean, Buffalo really rallies around its arts community in a way, I don't know. I don't have much to compare it to in terms of people in other cities, but it feels really wonderful to receive that kind of. And a lot of people aren't in a position to donate anything in terms of monetary value, but just showing up and mentioning how much they appreciate having some live music coming at them, even if it's coming over Facebook. That's really been keeping me going. And like I said, people have been very generous. And so it certainly is not a replacement for all the income that's been lost, but it really helps. And it just helps to connect, I went on a couple times last week and with no tip jar, just because I felt like hanging out with people. And that was about the only way I could do it, So I just sort of did a couple impromptu live streams last week, just really for fun. And, it's just a nice way to connect while we're all stuck at home.
Well, indeed. Appreciate you hanging out with us here. And how about one more for the road? Before
Sure.
we have two more after you, though. Two more coming up. Thanks, Dave.
So that's great. Yeah, that's a great lineup. I look forward to hearing the other guys. Since we're talking about Silo City and the old First Ward, and we mentioned, my interest in canal music and Buffalo history, I thought I would give you one of those songs as well. Not everybody understands that, the village of Black Rock almost became Buffalo, and Buffalo almost became Black Rock. And what I mean by that is, as they were digging the original canal, they started in 1817 in the middle of the state. They started in Rome, New York, and they were working their way in both directions. And there are reasons for that I won't bog you down with now. But as they started to come west towards Buffalo, there was a bit of a rivalry between Black Rock and the city of Buffalo in terms of who was going to get the terminus of the canal. Where was it going to end? Because everybody knew whatever town that canal ended its route and met up with the Great Lakes in was going to become a massive boom town, right? And so Buffalo wanted it to happen. Buffalo was a pretty small village of about 2,000 to 3,000 people at that time. So Buffalo desperately wanted the ending of the Erie Canal, but we had a sandbar blocking access to the, to make any sort of official port of Buffalo where ships could come in off the Great Lakes. We had a sort of a natural barrier there, whereas Black Rock, which is just a couple miles up the Niagara River, had a really naturally suited harbor, and it was protected from the weather off the Great Lakes. Made all the sense in the world. So Peter Porter and some other Black Rockians were lobbying to have the canal end in Black Rock. Buffalonians, Sam Wilkeson, and others lobbying for Buffalo. Buffalo ended up literally at the 11th hour going out and digging themselves a harbor. We cleared the sandbar and stole the terminus of the canal from Black Rock. So Buffalo became the big boom town, and Black Rock remained a small village within the city limits of Buffalo. But Black Rock stayed well known on the canal for something else. There was a food product made there in a grocery store starting in the 1840s that they called Black Rock pork. And one of the canalers made up a little ditty about it. So I'll leave you with this. Some food for thought. I shipped on board of a lumber boat by the name of the Charles O'Rourke. Yeah, the very first thing that they rolled on board was a barrel of Black Rock. We fried a chunk for luncheon and a chunk for dinner too. But it was not so goody good, and it was hard to
chew.
From Buffalo to old New York, they fed it to poor old me. Then we boiled up the barrel and the rest of the pork, and we had it all for tea.
Dave Luck, ever educational, ever interactive? I don't know if I was muted. If you wanted my response to your call, thank you for joining us. Tell us what you were just playing.
This is called they used to call it the Jew's harp. Much more common today to call it the jaw harp. But it's an old time instrument that the blacksmiths used to make. People used to carry them around in their shirt pockets, and it was kind of the perfect music of perfect instrument for the day because, of course, people didn't have radios, and so if you carried your Jew's harp around with you, then anytime you wanted some music, you could pull it out and play a little song on it. We have lots of accounts of excavation sites where they've come upon War of 1812 soldiers or Revolutionary War soldiers even who have been buried. And what do they find buried with some of the soldiers but their jaw harp? Not because they asked to be buried with it, but because they were carrying it when they died on the battlefield. Really common portable instrument from back in those days. So I still meet a lot of people when I do concerts, folk music concerts, who have one of these, like, I have my uncle's old Jew's harp, or, my grandfather played the jaw harp, but we don't know how it works or what to do with it. It's sitting on our mantle, So there's still people that have these things in their family that have been passed down. But you can still get them today, and they're a whole barrel of fun.
I love it. And like I said, ever educational and interactive. If you go see Dave live, you might wind up playing the spoons with the band. Just never know.
It's true, it's happened.
Dave, thanks for joining us again. And before you leave, just let everybody know how we know that we're not going to have gigs on the calendar right now, but how can they see you perform again?
Well, if you want to send me a friend request on Facebook, that's a good way. I do some live streaming on Facebook. My website is just my name, daveruch.com, and all the latest is there. I do have some videos up there as well that you can watch of full concerts that I've done. Those are probably the two best ways, Facebook or my website, daveruch.com.
Great. Well, thanks again, Dave. We'll keep in touch.
All right.
Keep enjoying it. Say hey to Sam and the fam, and I hope to see you in person soon.
Great to see you, Seamus.
Likewise. Take care. Cheers.
All right. Bye-bye.
Cheers to Flying Bison Brewery. We're here. If you're just joining us, welcome to the virtual Slow Roll after party. Thanks to Mark Odeon, Buffalo.fm for producing with Band Together Buffalo. Shout out to Dave Guilford and Live Audio. And shout out to Buffalo Local. On Slow Roll tonight, we rode through the hydraulics in Larkinville. So I got the Flying Bison Brew. I got a 716 IPA. And as we do in Floral, after we ride, we have an after party with live music and fellowship. And so we're lining up performers tonight who are familiar to folks at Silo City, which was our original venue plan. Of course, we still did have a ride from Silo City tonight, more of a solo roll. And I should say also, before I introduce our next guest, we have two more performers that, in addition to my snazzy backdrop here, now on the scene is some fresh food from the African Heritage Co-op. While we were broadcasting tonight, I got my produce box delivered. We were talking with Mia from the African Heritage Food Co-op earlier, doing bi-weekly produce box deliveries. And I just got my organic box. Look, there's some eggplant and cabbage hanging out in the shop now. Shout out to African Heritage Food Co-op and Alex and Mia. It was so cool to have Mia from the Kitty Kickstand crew on the show. So moving ahead on our envisioning, we're at Duende at Silo City. It was so nice to have Dave Ruck and another one of the regulars who plays regularly on Sundays at Duende. Let's welcome Mikey Strongman to the after party.
Hey, everybody.
Mikey, good to see you, brother.
It's so nice to see you, Seamus.
Coming
Nice to
to us live from Forestville.
Forestville.
We'll get into that. But your band, the New Buffalo Stringers, it has one of our Slow Roll volunteers, Titus Stevens, in the band. We were near his house on the ride tonight. You guys have been having a lot of fun at Silo City. We'll talk a little bit about that. But why don't you play us a couple songs first?
All right. Well, this first song is kind of written about those days that you ain't got anything else to do. And but just sit on the porch and enjoy the day, right? Lots of drinking, and sometimes you end up getting into some mischief. So that's what this song is all about. Sitting on the porch all damn day, I don't know. I put on my shoes and walked away. Ooh, I do-la-do-la-dee. I went to the court and the judge did say, boy, you're guilty, son, you're guilty. Look at me now, I'm a jailbird, eh? Ooh, I do-la-do-la-dee. Oh, hell, what to do when you cannot work or play? Walking the line, never felt this way. Ooh, I do-la-do-la-dee. I broke out of jail and my cellmate too. We had a spoon. I dug that tunnel the whole way through. Ooh, I do-la-do-la-do. Well, I came out the tunnel to a working crew. Got a job, barely enough for beer and food. Ooh, I do-la-do-la-do. Oh, hell, what to say when you ain't getting paid your dues? A job is a job and I can't refuse. Ooh, I do-la-do-la-do. Now imagine that you just dug yourself out of jail. You come out of a manhole, you're all covered in poo, and it's not raining, so it's not gonna get washed off you. It's really hot. The sun is baking that nasty stuff all over your body. And you walk into this diner that's across the street. You look up to the waitress and you say to her, "Can I have some water, please?" And she gives it to you, and you look over in the corner, and there's the most beautiful meth head you've ever seen in your entire life. She grins at you with those 2 teeth she got. She looks at you, you look at her. I met a girl over coffee, her name was Bob, I knocked her up, dad's pregnancy. Ooh, I do la do la dee. I asked that girl to marry me. Shotgun wedding, now I'm raising a family tree. Ooh, I do la dee. Oh, hell, it's a boy, and I'm damned if it looks like me. I can't feed this baby. Well, I do la do, yeah. Woo. I woke up this morning to the FBI. I heard a knock. They kicked in the door and the baby cried. Ooh, I do la die. I went to the court and the judge sighed. Boy, you're guilty, short, you're guilty. Sitting in the chair, I'm electrified. Ooh, I do la die. Bales, back in jails, I'm waiting round to die. I wish I had that porch of mine. Now I wish I was on your porch. Oh, I do la dum. Cheers, everybody. Y'all did a great ride all the way down here to Silo City. Glad to see you. Cheers to you, Seamus. All right. So I'm gonna play another tune. This one is a little more serious. These are all originals, by the way. This one's called Daddy's Apples, and it's about growing up hard and making the best of what you got. I wear this guitar like a banner, and my head like a crown. My voice is heavy as an anvil, going faster than the speed of sound. By Lordy, faster than the speed of sound. Let me take you to some old holler where my daddy was born. He lived in filth and squalor, and apples was all that he sold. I ain't lying, girl. Apples was all that he sold. Well, he watered and he pruned them, and they grew up real tall. Not a blossom graced a single branch. He died on a fruitless farm. Oh, Lord have mercy, he died on a fruitless farm. grew up fast and wild, and I left those trees alone. 10 years passed and they finally bloomed. Apples sweeter than gold. I ain't a lying, baby. Apples sweeter than gold. You know what I did with them apples? Well, I sold all my apples, and I bought my ass a boat. Everyone's trying hard to keep swimming, and all I'm trying to do is float. Oh, Lord have mercy, all I'm trying to do is float. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Hey. I ain't going to no school. I ain't going to no church. I know I'll live forever wherever my spirit may perch. Right on your windowsill, wherever my spirit may perch. La, 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 yeah. I know I'll live forever wherever my spirit may perch. Right on your shoulder, girl, wherever my spirit may perch. Ooh.
Yeah, cheers, Mikey Strongman.
Oh, so
old-
great to see people that aren't like my animals and my partner that I live with.
Well, tell us what that's like. You moved to Forestville. You moved from Buffalo to Forestville last year. An interesting time to move to the country before a pandemic hit. How's the country treating you?
I'm really, really happy that I'm out here and not in the city, because I can't imagine living in an apartment and not really being able to just go for a walk. Like, I got 32 acres here, so and it's all woods, so we can just go for a walk and get lost for a little bit. I got lost in the swamp the other day because we live in a swamp, and I got to see some parts that I don't usually get to see, all just because I decided to let myself get wet, and it was an adventure, you know. So
Yeah, well, it is tougher. That sounds amazing. I would love to go and crash your Forestville party because we were talking about before you came on. We're advocating for open streets, closing off some of the streets because there's not enough room to even walk down. I live in a dense neighborhood in the middle of the city. There's, it's likely that if I walk outside, there's going to be somebody already walking down my street within 6 feet of me. So it's a challenge. But you are not disconnected altogether. You said, we mentioned that everyone performing tonight, Joe Rosler's on deck, that we all have ties to my time booking music in Larkinville. I still book the music at Hydraulic Hearth. That's how I met you, playing with 20,000 Strong Men in the Infringement Festival there. And also we had a blast supporting our friend Jonah and whose dad Henry is familiar with in the bike community from Go Bike, and just what an amazing person Jonah is, and his parents Henry and Tori. And you said that was how you woke up to them this morning. I know they had some
Yeah.
music. I want to hear how you woke up to the sounds of Jonah this morning.
I woke up to Jonah reading. It was really nice. I woke up later than I wanted to, but my partner Kendall was talking to Tori and Jonah on the phone, and it's just nice to see them smiling and happy. And Jonah is the strongest person I've ever met in my entire life, and just watching him, act like nothing's happening.
Context: our friend Jonah is all 3 going on 4, and battling neuroblastoma like the fighter. He with a wink and a nod. The child is just a sage. So what a wonderful way to wake up, huh?
Yeah, no, it was great. I've had a great day since then. Like now that I'm here 24/7, I'm able to. I've built a greenhouse. I built a woodshed. I'm working on a chicken coop now. Like I'm able to do all the stuff that I'm not normally able to do. You know, so
Well, we miss you coming into the city and playing at Silo City. So why don't you send us off before we have Joe Rosler come on? Send us off with one that we might see if we showed up on a Sunday afternoon at Duende.
all right. Well, okay. Well, then I'll play a tune that I usually play with the Stringers. Then I was gonna well, I don't know. I kind of wanted to play one. It's not one that you would hear at Duende with the Stringers, but you'd hear it if I was playing it. Okay, this I just like this song because of its validity to now, and
Yes, please.
it's called Greener Grass, and it's like I started writing it when I was down in Europe, over in Europe, a few years ago, and I was just talking to all these people, and they were complaining about the same issues that we have in our politics, and like, I was talking to this Finnish guy, and he was just saying that they're completely screwed by the same system that is screwing a lot of us. So, um, sorry to be a little preachy, but this song is about that, about how I didn't finish it till I got back to the States, and just was trying to make a full circle of how we're all kind of in the same boat. And guess what? COVID-19 has put us all in the same boat. I know it's hard, but it makes me hopeful that, like, watching people kind of waking up and like seeing that some of these systems don't work anymore, and we need to do something about it. And so here is this song called Greener Grass. And it's a little preachy, like I said, but whatever. It's the time. Thanks again, everybody. And Watu Cantina, can't wait till I'm inside of you playing for all the great, amazing people Sunday nights. I'll see y'all soon. Grass is greener on the other side, but the water is still murky. I have swam thousands of miles, and boy, am I still thirsty. I went to find a four-leaf clover, but the grass was paved with bricks. The neighborhood has been taken over by a corporate bag of dicks. But someday we're gonna win. It's up to us to decide when. It don't matter where you've been. We're all the means to the same end. It don't matter where you've been. It's up to us to decide when. 'Cause we're all the means to the same end. I took a ride down the Irish countryside on a highway built for one. I climbed a hill where some were killed so the Catholics could have their fun. Da, 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 da. I met a Finnin' little old Scotland. He said he came here to find a job. You see, his government had been compromised by the same bankers who robbed us all. But someday we're gonna win. It's up to us to decide when. It don't matter where you've been. Oh, 'cause we're all the means to the same end. It don't matter where you've been. It's up to us to decide when. 'Cause we're all the means to the same end. Oh, we're all the means to the same end. Yeah, we're all the means to the same end. Thank you. Thank you for bearing with me, y'all.
Yeah, that song cuts to it. That's, we had our last week, we called it the solidarity roll. That's what we all need to understand now. We're all means the same end. We are all interdependent. Even though you're in Forestville and I'm in Buffalo, we are all interdependent. And depending on your beautiful sounds for some medicine tonight, man, I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
We'll be seeing you at Duende at Silo City sometime soon with the new Buffalo Stringers. Thanks again, Mikey Strongman. Hey, put Mikey back on the screen while we have him, and we can remind everybody once again that you can, if you're enjoying the music, send him a PayPal, a Venmo tip. Send it to.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
have PayPal. Yeah, 20K Strongman at Gmail. Also, I play on the 20,000 Strongman page, Facebook page, every Sunday at 4 p.m. I'm starting that now, and it's called Steamy Streamers. Sorry. Yeah. So,
beautiful. We'll be looking
yeah.
for that Sunday, and we'll again pretend that we're at Silo City.
Yes,
So
please.
Thanks again, Mikey. Keep in touch.
Mwah.
Peace. All right, 2 down, 1 to go on the Slow Roll after party. Thanks again for Mark Odian with Buffalo.fm and Band Together Buffalo. And thanks to you all tuning in at home. Wherever you are, I hope you are able. I'm only on my first one here. I'm already slurring my words. Enjoying a Flying Bison 716 IPA. Thanks to our friends at Buffalo Local. I've been supporting Band Together Buffalo and supporting Slow Roll. So again, our theme tonight has been Slow Roll. We rode around from the First Ward, from Silo City, through the First Ward, Michigan Street, African American Heritage Corridor, into the Fruit Belt, Broadway, Fillmore, and down through the Hydraulics, aka Larkinville, on our way back, where many folks have heard Joe Rosler, but not everyone who has been to see Joe Rosler play has seen Joe Rosler, but we see him now. Good evening, Joe.
Hello. Greetings, Seamus. Good to see you.
It's great to see you, Joe. And the way I say that is because for all of the tens of thousands of people who have enjoyed the Beatles rooftop tribute on top of Hydraulic Hearth into Larkin Square, Joe is in that band, Stoneflower, Black Rock Beatles. Joe's been in so many bands over the years, playing the keys and singing. Actually, you're playing bass with the Beatles rooftop show, of course, and singing. And Joe's been on the Larkin stage many times and many stages all over the world, and a music teacher too. Joe, it's great to see you, and you're gonna bring it home for us. As I thought it'd be great to have you on, Les, because you have such a joyful presence, and if we really wanted to, you have 1,000 or 2 songs in your arsenal. So let's stay up all night, Joe. We're just going to trap you in our little virtual chat room here. And
I've got
no,
at least 3 I know by heart.
Right. No, you know thousands of songs. Joey might know from Party Squad and John and Mary the Valkyries and his duo shows with John Lombardo at places like Pausa. And Robot Holiday. We were talking about robots earlier.
My
Joe.
gosh.
Yes,
indeed.
Robot Holiday. We've had so much fun in Larkin Square too. Joe, it's great to see you. And how are you? How are you feeling?
I'm holding up pretty well, thank you. I'm, doing what most folks are doing in the city. Going for walks, avoiding other people on the street. It's like, okay, you're on the sidewalk, I'll take the street, or vice versa. That's
you're on a tight Allentown street. So
yes, indeed.
I'm glad you're well. You look and sound great, and I know the folks, anyone watching is going to enjoy your joyful sounds. So take it away, Joe Rosler.
All right, thank you, Seamus. I'll do this first song here. This is a song that I might do with the Party Squad, and I'll send it out to my buddies Dave, Mark, Rick, and Nelson, my buddies at the Party Squad. Here's a song by Queen. Whatever this world can give to me, it's you. You're all I see. Ooh, you make me live now, honey. Ooh, you make me live. Oh, you're the best friend that I've ever had. I've been with you such a long time. You're my sunshine, and I want you to know all my feelings are true. I really love you. You're my best friend. Ooh, you make me live. I've been wandering around, but I still come back to you. The rain or shine, you stood by me, girl, and I'm happy at home. You're my best friend. You make me live. Whenever this world is cruel to me, I got you to help me forgive. Ooh, you make me live now, honey. Ooh, you make me live. Oh, you're the first one when things can go bad. You know I'll never be lonely. You're my only one, and I love the things, I really love the things that you do. You're my best friend. Ooh, you make me live. Best friend. Oh, yeah. Ooh, you make me live. Ooh, you're my best friend. Ooh, you make me live now. That's how that one went. Yes. All right. Okay. Got a song or two. And I think I'll do one here. I sent that out to the party squad buddies of mine. Here's one. I'll say this is for Gino and all my buds in the Black Rock Beatles. Here's a song by Leonard Skinner. Well, I wake up early in the morning, lift my head. I'm still yawning when I'm in the middle of a dream. Stay in bed, float upstream. Please don't wake me, no, don't shake me. Leave me where I am, I'm only sleeping. Well, that's cool. If the audio's okay, I'll keep singing. Yeah. All right. Everybody seems to think I'm jumbled. I don't mind. I've been rumpled, running everywhere at such speed, till they find there's no need. Please don't spoil my day. I'm miles away, and after all, I'm only sleeping. Big little eye on the world going by my window, taking my time, lying there and looking at the ceiling, waiting for a sleepy feeling. Please don't wake me, no, don't shake me, leave me where I am, I'm only sleeping.
Beautiful, Joe.
How you
Yeah,
doing?
you were like a Jackson Pollock painting for a moment there. You're back.
In live in pixel vision.
Yeah. Well, you sound wonderful, Joe. You sound so good that maybe you're gonna trip up the copyright bots, because you got these songs down. You got a couple more for us, don't you?
I suppose I could rustle up another one or two, maybe.
One is all right. So happy to see you. This is your first live stream of the pandemic era, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And as David Crosby said, I'm scared pixelless. He didn't say that. He said, we tune because we care. Unfortunately, my piano tuner, Dave, hasn't been able to come over. So even though I care, I'm not in tune necessarily. But,
sounds good to me, Joe.
All right. Here's, well, all right. I don't know. But one last tune? What do you think? All right. One last tune. This one here, I will send out to my buddy John Lombardo. We would often do this one when we played together, and I hope that happens again sometime not too far away. And here's how it goes. This one's by who was it by? Oh yeah, Metallica. I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, you'll never need to die. I'll make so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you. If you should ever leave me, the life would still go on, believe me. The world would show nothing to me. So what good could living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without you. If you should ever leave me, the life will still go on, believe me. This world would show nothing to me. So what good could living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without you. What I'd be without
Oh, that one went.
Joe Rosler. Joe, it's great to see you.
Thank you, Seamus. And thank you, Go Bike Buffalo, Go Rock, do it, bike.
So
can't wait to get out on the bike again myself.
We'll be rolling down your tight street in sometimes. But for now, you said that this is just the first. You've been contemplating jumping on the interwebs. God only knows what the world would be without the internet right now.
And you gave me that boot. You gave me the push over the edge. So now here I am live streaming, and you know, it jumbled up my pixels, but still, you know, trying to make it work. So yeah, I'll probably try to do this again on my Facebook page, which is just my name, Joe Rosler with a Z. So, you know, maybe I'll do that sometime soon.
I hope so, Joe. It's always great to see and hear you. And I suppose this has got me thinking, since we just rode through Larkin Square, that this is probably too much for the spot. But thinking about Robot Holiday, you did pen the modern jingle for the Larkin Soap Company.
Oh yeah, I don't actually I sang it and played it, but that was Dave Musson. He's the guy that writes, you know.
Of course it was Dave Musson who wrote it.
Yeah, he wakes up in the morning and writes another couple of songs. That's how he works. But I heard it and I said, hey, could I do something with it? So I tried that sort of Mills Brothers treatment of it there.
Fancy soap from the Larkin Company.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, maybe by December, Joe, we'll be having such gatherings together, and we've had so much fun over the years in all kinds of ways, and we will settle for doing it this way for now. And I feel it really is medicine, and it's just so good to see and hear you, Joe. Keep it going, keep in touch.
Thank you, Matt, very, very much.
Take care, Joe, and thank you everyone who's joined us tonight. That was our third performer, Joe Rosler. We had Dave Ruck and Mikey Strongman on the after party portion of our virtual slow roll. We are 3 down here into May, as we normally ride together every Monday from May through October, and we're going to find a way to keep doing it. This is not surely the way that we intended, but we stood something up here, and pixels and technical difficulties be darned. We've had a nice gathering tonight. I'm really grateful for all who took part in it. Again, riding from Silo City up through the Ward and Michigan Street and Fruit Belt, Broadway, Fillmore, and Hydraulics, Larkinville, back in the Valley and Ward. And there are so many people doing such great rapid response, helpful work. It reminds me as we first thought when we were contemplating what to do 2 months ago, when Joe and I were talking earlier today and he started playing. The guy can play anything. He's just one of those human jukeboxes. And he started playing the Mr. Rogers theme. And that's what came to my head in this time that so many people invoke at times like these. What Mr. Rogers said is look for the helpers in times of trouble. And we're doing our best to be helpers. And one thing that we're not going to do is have a bike ride with 1,000 people right now, right? But we have a mission to connect communities, and the bike is simply the vehicle for that. And we are still doing that by bike in much smaller forms. We're helping to deliver food, as we discussed tonight, around the Fruit Belt and beyond. And the biggest deliverers of food by bike, we have to recognize the Queen City Couriers. But what we're doing is connecting communities as best we know. And if we can't do that by the mass gathering, we can do it person by person, neighborhood by neighborhood, virtual roll by virtual roll if we have to, as long as we have to. We have plans for new kinds of gatherings that we can have this summer as long as the public health officials are down with it. And we're not ready for it, of course. We're close, we think. But in the meantime, we have to maintain our mission of connecting communities. And so for the first few weeks here, we've done it from, as we've discussed tonight, all these neighborhoods. Last week was the West Side. And we have routes, and we have a whole season worth of venues and routes and partners. And we're going to find what is the greatest need of the moment. We titled this the Delitter Roll because the Great American Cleanup is postponed, and we know that we need to help each other to keep our neighborhoods clean. It's the first thing when you think of what can I do for my community? Well, one thing when you step outside, one way to show that you care about your community is to keep it clean, right? So we're going to continue working with the city with the rescheduled Great American Cleanup, and wherever we can be of help. And so much love for our squad, our volunteers who still show up for things even though they're not massive group bike rides, because they always have. We've always been doing cleanups. We've always been calling 311 and working with the city to make our streets better. And we have always been showing up when we make connections with people and they give us a way to connect, to collaborate. So we started tonight talking about that Great American Cleanup, working with City Hall and calling 311. We hope people keep doing that. And as we kind of ended the ride portion, we talked about how it might not always work on the first call. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Go Bike Buffalo has been calling for open streets now for a while, and we don't have it yet coming from City Hall. We're going to keep calling for it. We're asking you to support that at home. If you've been supporting Slow Roll in any way by showing up, now's the time to show up virtually. We appreciate anyone who is willing to donate, but we're certainly missing revenue now from our live events. But we have to give a big shout out to Independent Health for keeping the wheels rolling for Slow Roll overall, as they have since 2015. But keep in touch at slowrollbuffalo.org. We're going to keep spotlighting things going on in the community that people can get involved with, that people should know about, especially things that people might not know about because they're not really covered daily through the media. So we can find them by riding around town and making those connections. We again invite everybody, if you need help or if you want to help, we are all about the interdependence, the understanding of solidarity, that we are all intertwined. So if you need help, if you've seen anything tonight that we can help you with, please get in touch. SlowRollBuffalo.org is at the bottom of the screen. If you want to help, if you're inspired to help, I believe that inspiration is the fuel of humanity. Can we keep inspiring each other to get involved? We always say, how can we get involved? There are ways to get involved right now in the immediate needs of our communities from home, from just sitting here. The magic of the internet. God only knows what we'd be without the internet right now. So we're going to keep showing you ways to do that. We're going to keep finding ways to show up in small numbers. with physical distance. We moved on from that term, social distance. I don't want to hear social distance anymore. This term doesn't make sense. You know, it was 2 months ago we were talking about social distance. I think there's been a lot of fumbling in that messaging. What we really need is social solidarity. Maintaining physical distance, but staying socially connected with the solidarity that we are all intertwined. We hope that you will keep in touch with us. Next week, we're going to move on to the Naval Park, as we always have been for the last 4 years, at least, for our Memorial Day ride. We're not asking everybody to show up at the Naval Park on Memorial Day. We wish we could, of course. But what we've learned along the way in the last couple months, while preparing for this, is that the Naval Park gets 98% of its funding from tourism. So that's not happening right now. So we're working on new ways that we can support the Naval Park and honor those who've made the ultimate sacrifice, which is what Memorial Day is all about. So we have plans for next week to work in partnership with the Naval Park to share those stories. We're going to share stories from our community about some of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, from their families, from fellow service members. We're going to help tell the story of the Naval Park in general and what it's going through currently. And we are going to invite you all at home to get involved. I hope you will. We have such a great history that we're so grateful for, people showing up for and with Slow Roll. And it is our conviction that we don't need the massive bike ride in order to connect communities. But I can say that all day. What it's really relying on is other people responding to our calls to get involved. So we hope you'll keep in touch. We again thank Mark Odian, Buffalo.fm, WNY Media for producing this. We're going to come at you again next Monday with a virtual Slow Roll Memorial Day ride. We have a wonderful route put together. We always stop at Jesse Clipper Square and honor the first African-American service member to fall in World War I. There's also an African-American Veterans Memorial that is in the works that we're going to learn more and share more about next week. And again, we're going to use this forum to help tell the stories of those that we honor on Memorial Day. Thanks again to you all for tuning in. Thanks again to Independent Health for keeping the wheels rolling. And keep in touch. Peace. We out.